Dope, 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 let's get it. I'm a trapping fanatic, that shit automatic, so I cannot turn it on or off. Bitches all on my dick, then she hop on my dick, I'm like, why you keep hopping on and off? Yo, bitch all on my dick, she be doing the most. I tell her, little bitch, she so extra. And my gun up on me, but not run up on me. Niggas, they wanna fight, they some wrestlers.
A 4-year-old Naruto would be sitting around in his apartment, bored out of his mind. Man, this place is terrible. I wish it was in better condition and had more food. In this moment, Naruto's latent abilities would awaken through his desires. Suddenly, the apartment room would become larger, and there would be food in the refrigerator. Naruto was shocked, wondering how this happened. Could he have done this? Naruto sat and thought about it, but due to his age and undeveloped brain, he couldn't really find an answer. This is when an idea popped in his mind. Instantly, Naruto transformed into an adult version of himself. Throughout the rest of his day, he studied his ability and decided to transform back into a child. However, he still remained very intelligent due to increasing his intelligence. It seems that anything I envision becomes reality. If that's the case, then I should be able to become the Hokage with this power. I could become the Hokage now, but what's the fun in that? Naruto spends the next 8 years mastering his visionary ability and exploiting it in every scenario that he can. Through this Kege Genkai, Naruto was able to graduate from the academy at the top of his class. The night of his graduation, Mizuki would steal the scroll himself and try to escape the village. He goes to jump onto another branch, but it vanishes, causing his feet to hit the ground. What the hell was that? He tries to jump back into the air, but the ground itself wraps around his ankles and then covers his entire body, only leaving his head free. This is when Naruto, in a white hoodie, walks from the shadows with a smile. Hey there, Mizuki-sensei. What happened to you? Oh, great timing, Naruto. Help me out. Naruto frees Mizuki, who then attacks him right after. Mizuki punches the boy, but an after image is left in his place. What was that? I think you're a little too slow to hit me, Sensei. What's that scroll you got there? Mind if I take a look at it myself? Mizuki's eyes will then widen as he sees Naruto floating in the air while reading the scroll. He looks back down, or at his back, to see that the scroll was gone. How did he just... Don't worry, I'll explain, because you seem confused. You've entered my domain now. Anything I want to happen will happen because of my ability. You sound like a crazy beast. A beast? Is that what you want to see? This is when Naruto turns into a yellow animal on all fours. Mizuki believes he's in a genjutsu, so he tries to stab his hand to wake himself up. However, Naruto reverts back to his original form, and he looks at Mizuki. You're pretty funny, but I'm bored of this now, so I guess this is goodbye. Mizuki looks at Naruto and then coughs up blood. What did you do to me? I cut all your organs from the inside. You'll die here now. You... what? You keep questioning how I'm able to do this, but there's only one answer. It's because I desire for it to happen. Naruto takes the scroll back to the Hokage's office, where he's praised by Hiruzen for his heroic actions. Thanks, old man. It was no trouble at all. But I have a question. As I fought against my former teacher, he called me a beast. Why is that? Hiruzen sighs. I knew this day would come, but never this early. He takes Naruto to the Hokage's office, where he explains that Naruto is a nine-tailed Jinchuriki. Naruto understands and leaves the room, with Hiruzen believing that he took the news rather well. Naruto goes into his apartment, and he goes into where the Nine-Tails was laying down. He walks up to the large cage, smiling. "Are you asleep?" The beast roared at Naruto, who seemed to be unfazed, as Naruto jumps back and then jumps back forward, kicking down the gate. The Ninetales was taken aback by this. He didn't even release the seal, he just used brute force. "Alright, from this day forward, you don't have to be in that cage." As soon as Naruto turns his back and begins to walk away, the Ninetales tried to take over his body. The yellow-haired boy turned around, as in the beast would fall down. An immense pressure would be making it hard for the Ninetales to even breathe, let alone stand. "Sorry, but you can't beat me." Naruto then vanishes as he wakes up the next morning. He then heads to school to be assigned to Team 7, as Iruka would begin the announcement. Team 7 will be led by their sensei, Kakashi Hatake, with their members being Naruto Uzumaki, Sakura Haruno, and Shikamaru Nara. The three of them then wait on their sensei, with Shikamaru and Naruto talking the entire time. The two were friends, and the only reason Shikamaru scored low was due to his laziness. When their sensei does arrive, he tells all his students to then meet him to the rooftop, where they would discuss their goals, and after the conversation, he tells them to meet up with him the next day. Naruto wakes up the next morning and goes to meet with his team. When he arrives, Shikamaru tells them that this is probably a test, so they need to make a plan. Naruto then smirks. "Don't worry about a plan, I'll make sure that we pass either way." Kakashi arrives late and begins to explain the bell test. And then, he tells him to begin. Naruto rushes in, throwing a punch that Kakashi catches. He then goes in to punch Naruto, but he notices as he hits Naruto, his hand is then broken, as he then puts the book down and flips away. It's almost like Naruto's face was as hard as a mountain, but that couldn't be possible, could it? Kakashi, while mid-air, feels a hand on his shoulder as he swings his broken fist, only to see nothing behind him. Kakashi is then kicked to the ground by Naruto. "For a Jonin, your speed is pretty slow. I hate fighting when my opponents aren't at their full strength, so here." Kakashi then watches as his hand is healed by Naruto, who isn't even close to him. What kind of ability is this? It's as if my hand was never broken. Before he could process any further thoughts, Kakashi is then forced to duck under a kick from Naruto. He tries to grab him, but he then stops as Kakashi manages to turn his head to see Shikamaru using the Shadow Possession Jutsu. This is when Sakura jumps out from a bush right next to Kakashi and takes the bells before he could break the Shadow Possession. Naruto, from a tree, is smiling down at his two teammates. Shikamaru stands up with shock in his expression. It's crazy to think that Naruto can communicate with us telepathically without being from Ino's clan. I don't know where he learned that type of ability, but I guess it makes my life a whole lot easier, so I don't really care. Kakashi looks at Naruto and decides to ask him what that ability was to make his skin so hard. Naruto makes up a fake name for his ability to make Kakashi think that this was his only skill. Naruto didn't really want people to know that he had this Kekkei Genkai, due to the fact that there could be a weakness that they could exploit to beat him. Team 7 would do their usual low-ranked missions around the Leaf Village, and Naruto thought this was too boring, so he pulled some strings with his ability, causing Team 7 to be summoned by the Hokage. Kakashi Hatake, I will be assigning you and your team a new mission. The type is an escort, and you'll be guiding Tazuna, the bridge builder, back to the Land of Waves and assisting in finishing their bridge. Tazuna walks into the room and looks at the kids in there. When he tried to speak, it didn't work due to his tongue being removed. Hiruzen chalked it up to him being drunk and then continued on with the finer details. When Team 7 left the room, Tazuna could speak once again, but he still remained very confused. He could have sworn that his tongue was gone. Later that day, the group would set out on their journey to the Land of Waves. The group keeps walking on the trail, and after a couple of hours, Naruto gets really bored. And as he yawns, chains are wrapped around his body, and a kunai is thrown at his throat, causing him to then fall to the ground. The two ninja then show themselves to the group, only to notice that Naruto stands back up as the kunai that they threw at his neck was broken. Naruto stands back up and looks around as he notices the two dudes there. He then throws a white hood over his head and says to himself, "My boredom has been cured." He jumps forward and the two shinobi send out attacks at him. These attacks seem to go through the body of Naruto. However, it's just an after image. The real Naruto is in the air and shoots down lightning bolts at the two of them. Neither of them could move fast enough to dodge the lightning, so their bodies will be pierced by it. Too slow. You were supposed to dance for me for a little bit. Oh well. Naruto slowly falls back down to the ground and Kakashi looks up at him. I've never seen a jutsu like that before, but good job, Naruto. Anyway, do you mind explaining what's really going on here, Tazuna? Tazuna then confesses that the Land of Waves is being overrun by Gato and his men. This causes Naruto to get even more excited by the fact that they might have a lot more battles coming up. The group continues on to the Land of Waves, where they would be attacked by Zabuza, who throws a sword at them. Naruto steps in the way and catches the blade with his hand. As he then drops it to the ground, Shikamaru says he's surprised that it didn't even draw blood on his hand. Zabuza then appears to the group, and Naruto attacks him immediately. Naruto punches Zabuza, breaking his wrist when he tried to block, only for Zabuza to then retaliate by kicking his shoulder. This will break his ankle as well. Naruto's skin was just too tough. Before Zabuza knew it, he was, well, dead. The hand of Kakashi was through his chest while lightning sparks swirled around them. Kakashi looks down at his student and smiles, but Shikamaru tells him that the battle has just started as they see a masked man not too far away from them. The masked figure then sends ice spikes ahead right towards Tazuna. Shikamaru used the Shadow Possession Jutsu to get Sakura and Tazuna out of the way. More ice then comes their way, but Naruto steps in front of his teammates. While his hands were still in his pocket, he forces magma to come up from the ground and form a firewall to block the ice. The masked figure then gets behind the group and prepares another attack. And while he thinks he caught them off guard, Naruto is not seen standing there anymore. Time in the area also seemed to be at a standstill, except for these two. This was fun. I truly did enjoy this short battle, but this is the end for you. The masked man then looked down to see the executioner's blade through his chest as Naruto slowly walks away while muttering to himself, "The most powerful force in this world is imagination."